welcome back to A Moment with Marta. So it's very exciting. It's World Series. Astros are going to be playing game 2 tonight. So as you can see, I'm supporting my Astros. Very exciting. They're just such an awesome ball club. Today I want to talk about autism and diets, because that comes up a lot, especially with my international friends. So autism is not an illness. It's not a disease that can be cured. There's not some cure-all diet that's out there that just magically makes somebody not have autism. Autism is a disability in which the brain processes information differently. So that being said, there's not a diet out there that's just going to make everything all better and make autism go away. Autism, it's just the way the brain processes information, and it's different for everybody because every person is unique. Every person's brain is unique. So that's something I like to preface when I go into this topic. Now, different people need coping mechanisms and strategies and supports in different areas of their life that do have autism. So I need help for anxiety and depression. I use medications. I have essential oils. I need time to be able to decompress after a particularly busy day, especially out in the community. My son uses weighted blankets, likes to have that kind of pressure. It's very comforting. He needs to have time to decompress himself. If we've had an outing on a Saturday, usually we come home, we do lunch, and he just needs to have some time in his room, just have some solitude to be able to decompress and unwind and relax. My daughter, she uses some noise-canceling headphones. She also has time alone where she decompresses too. So 3 of us in one household, and we do different things, and we require different things for different areas of our life that help us to be able to come up with those coping strategies that maybe help to support academically or socially. So there's not a specific diet out there that's just going to do all of that. A lot of that requires therapy and work on the individual's end, on the family's end, on the particular therapist's end. That being said, I do believe that there's a big gut to brain correlation, and just having a good foundation with your nutrition can go a really long way to helping you physically feel more comfortable, which also can just help you with your coping mechanisms a lot better, help you to be able to focus better, help you to be able to take in whatever it is somebody is trying to teach you, or whatever it is that I'm trying to teach my kids. So what we personally do is we have a gluten-free, casein-free diet. Gluten is the protein found in wheat. Casein is the protein found in dairy. And really what spurred it on for us was that my kids struggled with really, really bad acid reflux as babies. And it was to the point where they'd been on Prevacid for long enough period of time that by the time they were a year old, we did a blood test, found out that they were allergic to dairy. And so over the course of time, we weren't sure if they just shouldn't have, like milk and yogurt straight up. So we kind of played around with it some to see what would help them. Dairy is really easy to eliminate because it takes only 3 days to work its way out of your body. So it's a good place to start if you're not sure if your child has any allergies or sensitivities to food. So we eventually just completely eliminated, just see if that would help. My daughter is also allergic to eggs and to peanuts. And obviously peanuts, we were completely, we didn't do anything with that because that's a very scary food allergy to have. With eggs, we had kind of played around with just not giving her eggs straight up, but I still would bake and cook with it. And she still was struggling with acid reflux, so we played around with it and just found an egg replacer and completely eliminated eggs altogether. But we still were seeing acid reflux. My daughter was in particular, she struggled with it really bad. I thought my son had it bad until my daughter came along, and that poor baby was just miserable for the first 9 months of her life. Just in a lot of pain, and I tried everything that I could think of. So we got to the point where we were just kind of eliminating foods, Some foods might show up in a blood test or in a prick test that it's an allergy, and some foods there might be an intolerance to it, so it wouldn't necessarily show up on a skin reaction or in a blood test, but it might be that there's an intolerance to it, that it affects the gut in a certain way that produces more stomach acid for acid reflux, or maybe gives the child a stomach ache or an unsettled kind of a feeling. So some of that stuff you just kind of have to play around with. We started off with just not giving dairy and eggs straight up, and then eventually just completely eliminated it. We eliminated soy, we eliminated corn, a lot of the top 8 allergens, and then eventually we decided to just try going gluten-free. Gluten takes 3 months to work itself out of your system. So it's something that you have to be really diligent and dedicated to. Some people can start to feel relief immediately at first, but then they might plateau a little bit, and it's not until it's worked its way completely out of your body that you know if being gluten-free is right for you or not. We were very diligent about it with both of my kids, and I know that it was effective for them only because it significantly reduced the amount of stomach acid and acid reflux that my daughter was struggling with. So I was having to give her Prevacid and supplement Tums, and we had already eliminated all of these other things at that point. And so we eliminated gluten, and we got to the point, we've been gluten-free for 4 or 5 years now. We got to the point where, we'd been gluten-free long enough, and I wasn't having to give her Tums. I was only giving her the Prevacid. And then eventually we got to the point where we didn't have to give her Prevacid every single day. We weren't able to wean her necessarily completely off of it, but we were able to do maybe like 3 times a week instead of every single day, which is a lot better. So that's kind of what led us to go to doing a gluten-free and casein-free diet. It was physical. It was a physical reaction. I could see for my daughter that she was having less acid reflux, and so therefore was able to conclude that she has a gluten sensitivity. And because there's such a big gut to brain correlation, if you can help the gut to feel better, then the brain is able to be, fully active. It allows you just, if you're feeling your best, it allows you to be able to focus a little bit better. You're not going to have as many behaviors simply because your body feels better. You're not in pain. You're not feeling unsettled. You're not feeling queasy or bloated or any of the things that maybe some of these foods cause. So we are gluten, dairy, egg, and peanut free in our household. We also, from the very beginning, were very conscientious about what we decided to introduce to our kids. Before I even was pregnant and had babies, I already knew that I was going to make my own baby food, that we were going to introduce vegetables first over fruit, and that we weren't going to introduce processed things or sweets or anything like that. But that being said, if you've taken a different path with your kids, That's not a problem. This is a judgment-free zone. This is just the path that we took. And what I will recommend for any family out there, this book is amazing. It's Eating for Autism, and it's by Dr. Elizabeth Strickland. She lives in San Antonio, Texas. She has been a practicing pediatrician for children on the spectrum for over 20 years. She's been a dietitian for over 20 years, and she's written this really great book, Eating for Autism, the 10-Step Nutrition Plan to help treat your child's autism, Asperger's, or ADHD. And what's really great about the book is that she kind of goes into a lot of the scientific explanations about the things to be careful for. And this is really good for anybody looking at the labels and what those labels mean, what red and yellow food dyes can do to the gut. And again, this can affect anybody, but because people on the spectrum have a little bit more sensitivity in the way that their body is able to process the food, sometimes they might have a harder time with those artificial flavorings and food colorings and things that are more processed. And the thing that I really like about this book is that you can start wherever you're at. So, you know, if you have gotten to a point where your kid only eats chicken nuggets, that's fine. You start there. And it's a very encouraging book. It gives you a lot of information, a lot of scientific background for looking at the labels, and then for just starting to transition into maybe a healthier living lifestyle for your children, for your family, for yourself. There's recipes that are really easy to follow. So it's a really good book. It's one that I highly recommend, and it's very easy to read. You don't have to just sit down and read it in one fell swoop. You can go through and figure out where you're at in the 10-step nutrition plan and just open to that page and pick and choose what you feel like is going to benefit you or your family or your children. So again, there's no judgment as to where you're at, because you know life is crazy, and you might have a child that is pickier because they have some sensory sensitivities, and that doesn't get fixed overnight. That takes some time to help them work through things. It requires a nutritionist or a dietitian to kind of help with some of that therapy. But it's a really great resource that you as a parent can have for your family. And again, I don't believe that a diet is going to just completely take away any struggles that an individual with autism might have. However, I think that having just a good nutrition foundation can help, pave the way forward to build on that. If somebody is feeling their best, then they're going to be able to learn better. And so, it's kind of like, when my son was in second grade and we realized he needed glasses, he'd been struggling to see. And once he was able to have the glasses, he was able to take things in better. He wasn't having the headaches. He wasn't struggling as much. And it's the same for my daughter. Once we realized that gluten was causing her to have more acid reflux, it was a thing where, now that we're gluten-free and she doesn't have as many stomach troubles with her GI tract, she's able to focus better and able to learn better, and she just feels better. And when you feel better, you're just able to cope better. You're able to learn those strategies. You're able to handle things in your environment a little bit better. So that's kind of my philosophy for diet. Not that it's a cure-all by any means, but it can be helpful to, alter some things in your lifestyle to make things healthier. When you're feeling better, you just are able to do more. I mean, and that's just anybody in general. Another thing that you might consider is just going in to the doctor and just asking for some blood work to be done, because it could be that you or your child has some kind of a deficiency that is easily fixed. If there's a magnesium deficiency or iron or whatever it might be, that's something that's simple. It's not so invasive. And so something like that can also be something that throws things off and just gives that person maybe more of an unsettled feeling, kind of like the heebie-jeebies, So those are some things that can be helpful. Again, for my international friends, this is not a cure. There's no cure for autism and there's not a cure needed, because it's not a sickness, it's not an illness, it's not a disease. It's just the brain processes the information differently. And just like I need glasses in order to support my eyes, I need some meds for anxiety and depression and essential oils to manage some of that social anxiety. And I need noise canceling headphones to manage some of the listener's fatigue that I get. I need to have breaks to be able to decompress when I feel like I'm overstimulated. So as an adult, I've learned what I need. Kids have a hard time figuring out what they're feeling. Just kids in general, feelings are huge for kids, and it's hard to be able to convey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. It might be my stomach hurts, but their stomach hurts because they're feeling anxiety because they're overwhelmed. So just laying down a good foundation for nutrition can help. It can help you just feel better, and then in turn be able to learn what it is you're trying to learn better, be able to pick up some of those coping strategies that will help you through some of those areas that you struggle, whether it's anxiety or socialization or communication, whatever it might be. I think that having a good nutritional foundation is always helpful, really, for anybody. Anybody is going to be able to perform better when they're feeling their best. So once again, that book is called Eating for Autism. I highly recommend it. It's really easy to read. There's a lot of really good explanations as to what some of the labeling is on the packages of food, what it does to the body, why somebody with autism might have a harder time processing it. And again, it just gives some really nice recipes too, if you're wanting to, go into an elimination kind of a diet, or just maybe go into a healthier lifestyle. It's a really good place to start. So I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk with you next time on A Moment with Marta. Bye.